All right, I'll just give one like little.
Knobheads.
Welcome everyone. If you're watching, I'm hesitant to call this a podcast because that implies that I'm going to need to do it on a regular basis, and like Lord knows, I'm not organized enough for that. So we'll just call it like more of just like an open discussion with people that I've met since doing Xander, loosely related to what we do and the companies we run, but sometimes it might not be a pedal builder or whoever. So yeah, I'm keeping it relatively loose, and it's just going to be like a pretty informal discussion. And for the first one, we have Phil from PedalPatch. Hello, Phil.
Hello there.
Yeah, so I've known Phil for how long? A few years now, 5 years,
A few
maybe
years now, yeah,
4 or
it must
5
be
years.
about that now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think
4 or
when we
5
first met. It was maybe,
I think it's probably one of the first like London shows that we did.
yeah,
together.
maybe. I think it was through Stuart, wasn't it? Because you used to do stuff with Stuart from Tate.
Yeah,
yeah. Because I think you guys would didn't you do like joint stands or something together?
We did originally, yeah, when we first started. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it was. Like one of like either one of the Northern Guitar shows or one of the ones down here in Birmingham and stuff. So yeah, I think that's basically been them. And yeah, no. So Phil runs PedalPatch, which is a patch cable company, solderless, predominantly solderless, isn't it? You have like audio cables and stuff as well, but solderless patch cable kits, like do-it-yourself stuff. And yeah, I just thought it would be good to have these kind of very informal conversations with people that I've met over the years. So I'm struggling at the moment because it's one of the 8 like massively hot days that the UK has.
It's baking
every year. Yeah,
we're not built for it, are we?
No, I don't know what it is. I think it's something about like the UK heat seems to hit differently. I don't know if it's just because we're not used to it, but I don't know. I've been in hot places before, and it always feels worse here for some reason. I'm up in my loft space, which is it's a loft conversion, but it's an older house. So like this roof bit next to me on the other side of this plasterboard is just like a completely uninsulated roof, like crawl space. So it's just, you just feel it all, like it's Arctic in the winter and then like a greenhouse in the summer. And you just, because we're kind of, the sun kind of rises all, because like this is the roof obviously, but the sun kind of rises across it and sets all day. So it's just like this one massive flat space where the sun is just blasting against it for like 12, 14 hours during the summer. So
you need to slap a solar panel on there.
Yeah, it's completely inescapable. And relentless. And I'm trying to keep the noise down, which is why I've got windows shut and stuff. So it's a lot at the moment. But I guess for those that don't know, or maybe don't know much about PedalPatch, do you want to give a brief rundown? Like, how did you get started? How did like the idea of PedalPatch come around? Because I don't know when did you start it? It was probably around the same time that Xander started, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2018 I started, summer of 2018. Yeah, so I started it because like a lot of guitarists, we love gear, we love pedals, we love pedal boards. And I was looking at cabling up my new pedal board, and I thought, I want to try these fancy new solderless systems. And then quickly saw the price of some of the sort of leaders out there of it and was put off immediately because they are incredibly expensive and really good products, but also very expensive. So I think at the time I worked out it was going to cost me about 300 quid just to cable up the board in solderless stuff for what it was, sort of decent size board. But and I thought, there must be an alternative to this as a sort of a cheaper but good quality alternative. And I looked around, and there wasn't really anything in the UK offering it at the time, especially UK based. There was stuff that was accessible to us. So so I started PedalPatch, and so the product I have is branded by me. It's my own brand, and I get that in, and that's something that I've been selling in kit form since I started. Sort of I just wanted to offer people a good quality alternative to the bigger brands out there, that was more accessible, because I offer it in custom kit form as well. People can order like just one connector and some cable, or they can order a full kit, or whatever they want. They can order a custom kit stuff from me. So it's nice to be able to offer it in that way. I think I do get a lot of repeat customers that come back to me when they expand their boards, or they want to build like a, you know, one big board for home use, and then they want a little gigging board, or the other way around, whatever. So I get a lot of people coming back to me and just ordering, you know, a couple of each bit. So, but it's nice that they can do that without having to, you know, pay out for a huge amount each time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my board has been for a couple of years now, has been with your stuff. And again, like when I've expanded the range or changed boards or changed layouts, it's nice to be able to just like, I can reuse the connectors and just like rip a new bit of cable and just make a new patch cable. And then like when I expand, I'll just hit you up for like, can I have another pack of, you know, 10 connectors or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's been great. I mean, I don't use anything else now. Like it's just the flexibility of having, just being able to move stuff around, which I'm always doing. And since the range has grown, just being able to quickly like make up another cable, and also like keep things neat, which is the one thing, like, because all of my stuff's like top mounted jacks, like standard cables that are like, you know, 15, 20 centimeters long. You end up always with like tons of just cable just like poking at the bottom and stinging around, whereas I can make them like that big, just so there's enough flex so they're not like tight. Exactly. And it just keeps everything like nice and neat and nice and together. So yeah, Christ.
Whoa.
Hold on.
Look at that. What's going on?
Christ.
It's like Stranger Things or something.
Yeah, cons of living. It's just blown my window shut.
Yeah.
So, cons of living near the coast. So.
Yeah, I know it well.
Yeah. Oh, God. Downstairs is slamming around now. Yeah, no, like I said, it's for me, like I'm like super happy with using PedalPatch stuff. It's been great just to have that flexibility, I suppose. So
yeah,
but I guess I like from a broader question, I suppose, is like your involvement with like guitar, or like how long have you been like, I guess, playing since you were a kid, like most of us, I guess?
Yeah, I've been playing since I was, I think, about 15, something like that. Yeah, picked it up then. So I went to music college. I went to BIM in Brighton for a year as well, which is actually where I met Stu from Tate Effects. So I did that for a year, and then left there, and I've just been in bands since, really. So I've been in original metal bands. Sort of, I'm a rock and metal guy mainly. I like lots of different types of music, but that's sort of my main thing. So I joined a metal band that did all right in in like sort of mid 2000s in London. We played some really good gigs, and I've gone through other bits and pieces, lots of different projects, and now I'm in the classic, you know, later in life join a rock covers band and play pubs, but so I'm doing that, and it's really good fun.
So is it like classic? Know, I'm gonna guess for like classic rock covers, like the AC/DC kind of that kind of.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, everything. AC/DC, bit of Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, Queen, Rolling Stones.
Yeah, cool.
All that stuff. You know, the regular stuff. But
nice one. Yeah, I've been in bands, but I never really had the time or like the commitment to do it, just because I always had so much other stuff going on. I could never just find the time to commit to it properly. Like, again, similar to you, like attempted originals bands, attempted cover bands, but I could just never really. And also, like, other people were always really flaky as well, which is the hard thing. Like, and also guitarists are like a dime a dozen as well, but finding
drummers
drummers are hard.
It's just like mainly drummers.
Yeah, like they can always be quite difficult. I mean, the other thing that, I mean, I guess it's relatively recent news that I've kind of wanted we could wrap up on a little bit, is the Effects Expo, which you came to and exhibited at, and it went really well. I mean, I've done there's a vlog on the channel for anyone that wants to watch like an in-depth kind of overview of the weekend. But in summary, it was a small pedal specific show, and pedal adjacent stuff, which is why Phil was there, and people like Richard from Alder and Ash Pedal Boards was there. So we had like the kind of accessory stuff, as well as pedal makers. Headphone only show, so it was nice and quiet, which I had really good feedback on. I think everyone really loved that.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was nice compared, like, having done probably all the other shows in the UK at this point over the last 4 or 5 years. It was definitely a nice change of pace. And like I said, a much smaller event compared to something like the Birmingham show, for example. But obviously for a first crack, I think it went really well. And yeah, I've had really good feedback from it. I mean, I don't know if you have any thoughts on how it went for you.
No, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was it was a really good day. It was nice to have something focused on, some of the bigger shows. They're great. They're really good to attend, especially, for the public as well. They get a huge range of products, and but to target, just the pedal side of things with, as you said, with some accessories like my stuff and Rich's pedal boards and bits and pieces. I just think it was a really good day for effects pedal lovers to come and try stuff from some great quality, UK builders. We've got a lot of pedal building talent in this country, so it's really nice to have a bit of a showcase for that as well. So yeah, just having a day where people could come and try bits and pieces out, headphone only, so people could chat to each other without having to scream in each other's ears like they're in a nightclub for the entire day, was just really nice. It was a really chilled out atmosphere.
Yeah, I think the thing that I kind of wrapped up with on, that I kind of got from it was, like, even though it was a relatively small show in terms of like turnout, but you knew the people that were coming were like very specifically there for like the people that were exhibiting. And I think like nearly everyone that came through the door pretty much just sat and spoke to everyone and basically just did the rounds, just going around and speaking to everyone individually. So I think, like, I heard a couple of guys, and I think a similar experience to me. Like, I probably spoke to as many, if not more, people than I would do at like a bigger show. Because obviously you get, loads of people coming through, and for a guitar show, for example, a broader guitar show, I think, a lot of people do come to look at guitars, obviously, or amps, and they're not. There's a big. I think a lot of people forget when they're like, maybe people that watch this channel or whatever, it's a bit different, but like, there's a huge like industry of like inside like the guitar industry who like people who just don't really use or care about pedals outside of like, they might have like a Boss tuner or an overdrive or whatever. There's like a section of like the gear community that just doesn't really care about pedals that much. So I think sometimes it's some of those shows have been a bit of a blowout, like for us when we've been, and it's been like, oh, why do we bother? Whereas I think like, and I've seen the pedal specific shows, like especially in the States, because I did one a couple of years ago over here that was all right. It went well, but I think the location was a bit naff. But other than that, I don't think there has been many like pedal specific events that have been in the UK. I know like Paolo, who runs Stompbox exhibit, I can't remember what it's called. I know they did really well in the States, and obviously there's a huge industry in the States for like the like cottage industry of guitar pedal builders. But it's I mean, historically been pretty small over here, but I think it's growing, especially over the last, to be honest, even since I'm relatively new. I'm 6 years into it now, but over the last, I'd say 3 years or so, it's really kind of taken off with loads of new exciting builders kind of popping up all the time. So yeah, I mean, obviously I know we're a lot smaller than the States, but I don't know, at some point we'll reach a tipping point, I guess, but I don't know. I think there's still probably quite a long way for it to grow in the UK.
Yeah, I think when, like even at the FX Expo, I saw stuff like such cool, like different stuff that doesn't really exist. Like the guys from, is it Indifferent Engine? Engine, just making like the 3D printed, like tape delay machines. It's like incredible, like stuff like that you don't, it's not accessible to you sort of well, you don't see them in every guitar shop up and down the country, do you?
No,
So it's
exactly.
nice to have that kind of different thing that you can get.
Yeah, and I think in their case specifically, I think he's making it open source, which is quite an interesting way of pitching a product. In that, like,
yeah, right.
I think if you've got a 3D printer, you can basically just make one for yourself. Yeah, no, it's really cool. I'll flash up an image of it on the screen so people can see it. But yeah, it's definitely really cool. I think there's not really much in the way of demos for it at the moment, because I think, and I might be wrong, but I think Indifferent Engine is like the name of their band or like musical project, and then this is just kind of like a little thing that's kind of fallen off like the side of them doing like weird, because like their stand, again, if anyone hasn't seen it, I'll throw up a thing on the stand, but their stand was all like old CRT TVs playing like glitchy static stuff. Yeah, like it was really, really strange. And I think that stuff is from like their like stage props when they do like this weird like musical light show with it. It's really cool. It's a really like interesting kind of artsy way of doing it, rather than just like setting up on stage with your amps and stuff. So yeah, I haven't actually checked out what their music's actually like, but I'm gonna guess it's gonna be kind of unusual.
Probably not run of the mill.
No, I mean the vibe it's giving me is some kind of like industrially kind of noise rock kind of stuff. It's probably going to be along those lines, but yeah, no, it's really cool. So Indifferent Engine is definitely one to check out. And then getting bigger people like Ranger to come, which was nice. I think that was a big pull for the event, because obviously he does some, he's in all the big shops and stuff, and he's probably the biggest brand that was there. I mean, obviously we had retailers there like James's Home of Tone and Joe's Pedals, and obviously those guys have some of the big boys as well, like Thorpe and stuff. They stock their stuff, but in terms of like exhibitors that actually turned up themselves, David from Ranger, really, who's a really nice guy. I've only met him a few times, really just through Effects Expo, and then I met him when we were at NAMM, which is really bizarre. It was like the first time I'd met David, and we like it took us like to fly all the way across the Atlantic to actually meet him. Really, really strange. But yeah, no, he's a really nice guy, and obviously does like some crazy stuff, like the mini bar. That's the one in it with the liquid.
You put different liquid in it.
Stuff. Yeah. So like, yeah, they're all really nice guys, and he had a few of the people that work with him, because obviously they're a bigger company than most people. But most of the other people that were there were just similar situations to like me and yourself, really, where it's like not necessarily a full-time job for most of them. Just kind of one-man bands and stuff. So yeah.
I think for a lot of people it is a way, getting sort of that kind of vibe, because PedalPatch isn't my full-time job, but it's a nice way to have sort of a foot in the door of the industry and to be able to take part in sort of shows like this, and hopefully get some good gear out there on offer to people and make a bit of money doing it. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think the thing that I was like kind of not honored sounds a little bit like self-masturbatory, but like some of the guys that were there, they hadn't done a show before. Like the one that they decided to go to was ours, which I thought was really nice. Rather than going to, and some of them said like they're really nervous about, they've never done anything in public before. Their whole company has been behind like an Instagram page or behind a Facebook page or whatever. And I remember doing my first show and feeling exactly like that. And I think many people from the industry are relatively similar in that they're very introverted, kind of nerdy people. Like, and most of us are like, we're like basically just like a load of weird art students or whatever. It's like it's kind of like basically like most pedal builders. And I remember feeling that on my first show and how awkward it was to try and speak to people, and try and repeat yourself and not fluff up and feeling like you needed to like do this big kind of presentation to everyone. And it's not really like that at all. It's very kind of chilled out. And as like cringy and cliche as it sounds, I think just don't go overboard. Just be the person you are. Like, it doesn't matter. Like no one's turning up with some kind of expectation that you're going to be like the perfect salesman. And I don't think most people even enjoy that. I mean, I don't. I like being sold to is not really my kind of like, I'd turn off from that completely. So
sure.
Yeah, I think yeah, hopefully the people that came and it was their first show, hopefully it was a good experience for them. And yeah, I mean, fingers crossed we can do some more. And I'm hoping, because I know we've kind of spoken about, or you kind of mentioned to me that you wanted to do maybe like a broader show somewhere down south, because you're down like near, you're Brighton way, aren't you? Like,
yeah, I'm near Brighton, just down the road.
So I'm Essex, so we're relatively close, like as far as like the crow flies or whatever. And yeah, I think there is definitely like shows are missing from the south. I mean, there are shows, so there's loads up north. There's a big one in Bristol over on the southwest. There are some in the south, but they're London, and London is always extremely expensive for renting a venue, which like drives the cost of the tables up or whatever. And they're not normally like the relaxed shows that like the northern guitar shows have, where you just get like a table. They're big like shell scheme exhibition stands where you're paying like £500, £600, £700, £800 for like the smallest, 2x2 meter stand, and that's just completely cost prohibitive for like most small companies who are just doing this as a hobby. So I think being able to do something, because I know we spoke about possibly like doing like the FX Expo stuff with a bigger, broader guitar and amp show. I guess it's just trying to find that venue where it works for both, because I'm still really keen on keeping the FX Expo like a headphone, quiet, silent show, but obviously
which
can't
I think,
do that with amps, because that's obviously specifically like what you're there for, is to hear them out loud. So I mean I guess like what are your thoughts on like where did the idea of doing a show for that come from?
Again, I think just as you mentioned, offering that kind of show, like the Birmingham show is great, but I think you need one like that in the south. I think there's a lot of audience that don't necessarily want to travel for it, and I think there's a bit of a gap for that kind of thing to exist in the south. I think they did, like as you said, like the London one. What was the one they did a little while ago? I think it was run by like Guitar Magazine or Future Publishing or whatever.
Future Publishing, yeah.
That was it, because I went to that, and I didn't exhibit there, but I did visit it. But that was like the guitar show or whatever it was called. And that was good. But I think, just having something in this area sort of more regularly, and I think having more specialist stuff like the FX Expo as part of it would be really nice.
Yeah, because I think again with like that publishing one, the Future Publishing one, I think the stands started at like £1,000 or something.
Yeah, it was crazy money,
and it becomes like a big trade show. And like obviously there comes a point where like it's fine. Obviously they've got you've got big companies and whatever, but you could walk into a lot of the stuff. You could walk into any guitar shop and just play that stuff anyway. Do you know what I mean? You're pricing it. The way that it worked was like the only people that could be there are the companies that are big enough that would be in every guitar shop already anyway. So
I think that's right. I mean, it's nice. One thing that's nice about the Birmingham show in that way is, yes, it's a more expensive show for the smaller companies to do, but at the end of the day, you get to be there with the likes of bigger brands like Marshall or Fender if they're there, or whoever, Boss, were there like one of the years we were there. But then the next stand along might be like me, or like you or another smaller pedal builder, or it's nice to have the mix.
I think Birmingham hits that sweet spot quite well of like, it's not I mean, it's pricier than like some of the shows, but it's not like mega money. And they give you the option. So like, you go to those shows and you've got Marshall or Orange that have bought like 15 square meters to like set up 20 amps or whatever, but then you can get that smaller space if you're a smaller company, which is nice. But I guess like for us, like we said, it's just if we want to do this thing where we kind of try and combine it, it's just making sure that the venue is the right place, that like like a hotel, or a hotel that has like 2 exhibition halls or something, for example, that where you can keep things kind of separated still.
That's right,
but being able to reach out to that broader audience, because like I said, I mean, if you get people coming there for guitars and amps, they might just out of curiosity just want to go, I'll go and have a look in the FX Expo hall or whatever. Whereas like I'm aware that specifically advertising for a pedal show will naturally limit the amount of people that are going to want to go. Whereas you get more footfall just by, you might get more footfall just from like virtue of it being a advertised as a broader or combined show.
Yeah, sure.
And Brighton to me seems like a natural. It surprises me that there's not really been one, to my knowledge, there before, because it's such a big kind of artsy town. I mean, GAC are there, like one of the bigger music shops in the UK. Like obviously you've got Anderton's, GAC, and then maybe like Guitar, like up north and in Scotland. I mean, they're kind of like the three big ones. Oh, and PMT, I suppose.
PMT,
there's only like 4 big kind of companies, isn't there? And GAC's one of them. So I'm surprised there's not been. And there's a huge music scene as well, and uni, artsy, comedy festival. Like there's a huge kind of. It's got that kind of vibe, isn't it?
So. Yeah, it's definitely a creative city. I mean, whether, I said I've been looking into different venues and bits and pieces for a while, but whether the problem you have logistics wise with something like that is you've got to make it easy for obviously people to get to is fine. You want visitors to go to it, but for the exhibitors to get to be able to stay, in a sort of more accessible location. And the thing is, like central Brighton, I was looking at venues and stuff, but like you can't, if you've got, say you had 50 companies coming there and they've all got a van or a car or whatever to come, where when they've loaded in, like where do they put it after? It's sort of like that whole, because Brighton is notorious for being really difficult to park in. And so lots of things to think about it. Hopefully we can iron them all out. But
I think somewhere that, as long as it's accessible on, because that's the one thing that I wish I'd maybe reconsidered with the FX Expo is like it's how easy it is to get there on public transport.
Yeah,
because a lot of people that don't drive just like couldn't. I forget that some people just don't drive. So like, because for me, I mean, I picked Stourbridge, which is like near Birmingham, basically just because it was kind of in the middle of the country, but not really, but kind of.
Yeah.
But I'm forgetting that if you don't drive and you live in London, that's like 3 trains and 4 buses to get there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so a mission at that point.
Yeah, so finding somewhere that's within walking distance of like a train station or a major bus route, as well as having all the room for parking and stuff, it does narrow the search down a little bit. But hopefully we can make it work. I mean, we've got a while. I mean, FX Expo's only just happened, so we've got. And I'm not like, I'm gonna go easy on like setting myself any kind of like specific limit of like making sure I get it done by like this date or whatever. I'd rather it be delayed and take a proper stab at it. And get it
for it to be better. You don't want to rush it out. Yeah.
No, sure. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And likewise, I mean, like if you're inviting, guitar and amp companies, it's also making sure that you've got the roster of people on board beforehand, because that's what I did before with FX Expo, was just like line everyone up and basically try and get commitment from people before I booked the venue, which I know is a bit of a arse about face way of doing it, but if they were to become more regular, I guess it's a bit different. You can kind of pre-book, you can kind of rely on a certain number of people just turning up, but I didn't want to really take any kind of financial risk on doing it for the first one. But
no.
Right, so moving on from the show, because we could talk about the logistics of show organizing all day, but I don't think everyone's going to want to listen to us bang on about it for 2 hours. So was just to kind of bring it back to pedals in a roundabout way, was to talk about what you have on your current board, because I don't know anything about your current setup. So if you want to like run us through in a brief detail.
Yeah, I mean, mine's relatively simple. As I said, I play it's a hard rock sort of covers band, so I don't need anything too fancy. But I have just got, so off of the pedal board, I've just got the new Victory Sheriff V4, which is their like plexi type, but it is pedal board based, but I'm not going to be using it on my pedal board. It's a bit too big for that. but it sounds fantastic. And as part of that, I've sort of switched my board around a bit. I've moved to a really mini board because, again, I play in pubs, and people that play in pubs will know you never have enough room for a massive fun board. So yeah, I've literally got the HX Stomp, which I use for all of my modulation stuff. And a couple of other bits, or those bits of intros of songs where it needs just a little bit of, phaser or whatever. So I use that, and I really like the HX Stomp. I think it's a great bit of gear. I've got that. I've got a custom made foot switch that I made for the V4. Or actually, Stu from Tate Effects have made me a custom foot switch for the V4 Sheriff, which is really handy. That just changes the channel and does the reverb on or off if I need it. And then I've got the going back to Stu again, I've got the Tate Effects Antares on there as well, the overdrive, which is great. I use that for my more sort of saturated
it's like a tube
metal sound
kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a tube screamer based thing with a clean blend as well. So that's it's a really cool pedal. It does exactly.
Sorry, is the Sheriff like already overdriving?
Yeah, so I use the Sheriff. So the Sheriff, as I said, it's like a plexi. It's got 2 channels, so it's got like a vintage channel, and with that sort of dimed on the gain a bit, it's a nice sort of plexi type crunch, which I'm going to be using as my main sound. The second channel is like a hot rodded plexi, so it's really like gnarly. Sort of, you get some really decent stuff out of it. But I'm probably going to be using that for as a switch to because they've both got 2 master volumes for each channel, so I'm probably going to be using that as my lead channel. Right. So just to switch to it at a high volume for, boosting a solo a bit. And because it's like a plexi, if it's gunned, there's not really anywhere else to go with volume. You can try and boost it as much as you want, but there's not enough like headroom to sort of, because it's so overdriven anyway. But that's how it sounds best. So yeah, so I use the Antares on the first channel just to sort of saturate things a bit for the more heavier numbers that we do, a bit more chug. And then next to that I've literally got my Polytune, so it's quite it's as compact as I could make it. So that's probably really uninteresting to a lot of pedal listeners out there.
Well, like you said, I mean, as long as it works, I mean, that's all it's about. And like I've played like I mentioned, like just from being in the briefly being in the bands that I was in, I remember playing those pub gigs and like trying to rock up with basically like the thing that I have now, which is hold on.
Yeah.
Which is this not practical for a pub.
Put that on the floor in the dog and duck, and you're gonna have a lot of fun.
So yeah, I've turned up to gigs where you're like next to the cymbal with the drummer or whatever. Not fun time. We've played ones like those ones that have like the decibel. Oh god, it's just giving me flashbacks to like playing a pub that was really only. I think they were really only equipped to have like the acoustic guy.
Yeah,
that sings like covers
like an acoustic duo or something. And
that they sing like Brown Eyed Girl and do like that kind of shit. Yeah. And they're like, oh no, look, we can expand to bands now, but you still can't go over like the 80 decibel limit. And it's already peaking, like it's like pushing 79 just from like the ambient noise of the pub where people
of the pub anyway. Yeah, right.
And like the acoustic sound of the kit is triggering it, and if you trigger it, it cuts the power.
Cuts the power off. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it's impossible because you can't even have a drum kit. Like we were having to like shove like blankets and stuff on the drums because like the snare would trigger it and cut the power. And you're like,
yeah,
how can we do this? We played like. I think we had a set list of like, I think it was like 10 or 12 songs, break 10 or 12 songs. And I think we played about 4 or 5 because the power kept cutting off through like 4 or 5 times through every song. And then like the bar staff had to manually trip the switch back. And we gave up because we were like, it's not working. Like everyone in the pub was like really nice about it. Well, like the people that like the punters and whatever, but then you had like the bar staff, like the pub itself had the nerve to be like, oh yeah, we're not paying you because you didn't play your set. Like,
yeah, right.
We couldn't. Like, you saw it going off. Like, we weren't turned up loud. Like, I'm playing like bedroom levels, and like the drum kit is enough to turn it off. Like, it's impossible to play this. Like, we can't do it.
Luckily, I've not played one of those like with a venue with like a meter in it for quite a while. But like, because in our band, like we would be out immediately. The power would be off within like the first chord, I reckon, because we're pretty loud. We do it. Yeah, it's we're quite a loud band.
So what's kind of the heaviest you go, like, in terms of like song? Probably more like Sabbathy kind of stuff. Is that?
Yeah, we do a couple of Sabbath songs. We do, what do we do? Paranoid and The Wizard. We do with that because our singer plays harmonica as well, which is really cool. So like the full harmonica intro for that, which is nice. And we do a bit of Judas Priest. Heavy wise, that's probably about as heavy as we go, really.
Yeah. I have to admit, my classic rock knowledge is not great. Like, outside of like the big
radio play.
My rock knowledge is not brilliant. But yeah, no, I'm trying to think what we played when we were. It was more like the cover bands that I were in, because like weirdly I was like the oldest one. Like, so the bands I was in when I was like 21, 22, some of the other kids were like they were like literally 17, 18, like just out of college. So I was like the weird like one that was like 4 years older. But it was a lot of like the indie like dance floor hits, like the Arctic Monkeys and that kind of all that kind of stuff. So it was a bit kind of like bouncier, I suppose, than like your classic rock stuff. But it was fun. I don't know, I miss it sometimes, but then I also remember how much work it was, and then
I mean, we play. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people that might be listening to this that are in a similar situation, but it's probably the hardest work. I've been in originals bands where you're playing, you might do like a support slot or whatever. You're doing like about 8 songs, in a smaller venue for like a headline band, and you're sort of doing a short 45-minute set or whatever. But loading up, setting up for a full, like we do about 40 songs live.
Oof.
So we do
in one go.
Yeah, we do a 1 hour set, and then we have a break, and then do another like full 1 hour, and it normally goes over a bit. So we tend to play about 40 songs, and it is tiring, especially and again, I'm probably preaching to the choir, but like knowing you're going to be packing down after that, and then you go up to the bar and you claim your 50 quid, for that. It doesn't even pay for your fuel back home, sort of thing. But I don't do it for that. I do it for because I like it, and it's nice. Plus it justifies me buying new gear.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's actually the one thing that's the other thing I was going to ask is like, are there any bits of kit you've had your eye on for a while, or something you've been? It doesn't have to be pedal related, it can be anything. Like, is there anything?
I mean, do you know what, like weirdly I've actually got that. Well, I had my eye on the V4 as soon as they came out, so I did get that. And I actually bought a new guitar last week that I'd had my eye on for quite a while. And I sort of always wanted one. So I'm a big, I really like Queen, and Brian May especially. I think he's phenomenal. And I bought one. I saw coming up for sale or second hand was one of the Brian May guitars, sort of like it's because he's got his own brand called Brian May Guitars, because he used to have Burns ones and Guild. They were Guild. They were made originally, I think. And back in the day, I always wished I'd bought one of the Burns ones when they came out, because I tried them and really liked them. But yeah, one. It's been in my thoughts sort of recently, thinking if one of those comes up secondhand, I'm going to try and grab one of the Brian May sort of Red Special replica things. And yeah, one came up, so I picked that up last week or the week before, and it's really cool. It's really good. I don't think it'll work in the band I'm in now, because it's a bit more harsh on the sound than because I'm a Les Paul player generally, Les Paul or SGs. So that's on my radar. What else have I seen recently? There's a massive list of pedals, things I think that I'd like. There always is. It's a never-ending list, Yeah, it's just you'll never be satisfied. It's nice because I've managed to get some of the gear that I've always been after in the last few years. So I'm at the stage where I don't feel like I need to you know, I can't justify buying some of the stuff because it's just like I won't use it like as much as I should. You know, I don't do a lot of recording and things like that. So, yeah, but I think I'm pretty much there, especially guitar wise. There's not much else that I feel like I'd really need.
Yeah, the same for me. Like, because I've got some pretty fucking weird guitars. Like my like the one I got from Matt from Fidelity Guitars, like my double standard custom
lovely.
one. Yeah, it's really nice. But like, and I bought it because I was just like, you know what? I've never had an expensive guitar. I've only ever had like cheap Squires and stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm actually just going to treat myself. It was a few years ago. God, I've had it like, probably nearly 5 years now, 4 or 5 years. And yeah, once I splashed out on that, I was like, I'm kind of done with guitars. Like, I've got some other bits. Like, Maisie bought me the Kurt Cobain Jaguar. Only because I really wanted, like, I always loved like Jazz Masters and Jaguars. Like, I love the shape of them.
Yeah.
And that was the only one they sold left-handed. Obviously, it's changed now. Since I got that, they've like over the last few years, they've started left-handed like stuff has become like a little bit more common. You get a bit more variety than when like I first started, and you could get like a black Strat or a Telly.
Yeah,
like that was it.
That's it. That's your options.
Like one Sunburst Les Paul or whatever. But like, there's a bit more option there now. But so yeah, she bought me that. So I've got like 2 like expensive guitars, and then the rest of my stuff is just like random little part caster Strats and stuff that I bought or put together myself. I've got parts for 2 guitars that, because I built one last year. I don't know if it's in shot over there. Wait, where am I? This side? That Telly.
Oh yeah.
I built that last year out of like someone made the body and it was like butchered. It's like literally made out of like someone's coffee table.
Yeah.
Like it weighs a ton. It's like this thick as well. The body. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed doing that because I hadn't built a guitar for so long. And I've got like parts to do like 2 other ones that I've had just sat in my workshop for like over a year now. And I need to, I bought it just to film, so I could film something for Xander, just to film like a video for it. It's all like cheap stuff. So one of the ideas for the Strat, I've got like this Strat that someone's like spray painted bad, like it looks like a Jackson Pollock kind of spray paint job, like just like chucked all over it.
Yeah.
That I've bought like, you know, the cheap, they're like knockoffs of like, what are the Seymour Duncan pickups that have like the big hex poles on them?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
They're like
the war pigs or the war. Oh, the Warman ones. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Something like that, like where they're like 21
Invader.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. It might be. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, and I don't play like metal or anything like crazy like that, really. But I just thought it'd be fun to like just see what, like, because I can't remember what like how hot the output is, but I think there's something ridiculous like 21K or something stupid like that, just something absolutely obscene. Compared to like most of my other guitars that are like gold foils and single coils where they're like 4, 5. So I just thought it'd be fun to like see what kind of sounds I can get out of it, considering I'm just definitely not a metal player at all. But other than that, though, I'm not like a big gearhead, to be honest. Like, I think making pedals, like, it takes a lot of it scratches that itch quite a lot, I think.
Yeah, I suppose it. Yeah. I mean, making cables is not so much.
Yeah, I mean, they're more kind of a utility thing, aren't they? I suppose. So.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's less interesting.
I mean, I think like the thing that I always liked about like PedalPatch specifically was, and more like your approach to it, I guess, is like that there's none of the like fluffy snake oil kind of shit that you get from a lot of, not naming names, but you get from some patch cable and like cable companies where they really try and lay it on really thick about, you know, because it's made out of a certain metal or whatever, you know, do you know what I mean? Like it all gets a bit much, and I think sometimes that kind of attitude can be a little bit, I don't think it's fair, because I think it's taking advantage of people who don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the problem with solderless stuff, especially, you know, and I don't just do solderless. I've expanded my range to, I sell like the EBS flat cables. I sell instrument cables like Ernie Ball stuff, and I've got patch bays, lots of different things that I've sort of expanded to doing now, as well as the solderless kits, which are the main thing. But I think, you know, solderless is always divisive between guitarists anyway, because most of the time it's because they've been told by 100 other ones that probably haven't used them before that they're rubbish and unreliable. And I completely get, you know, I'm not going to go into that argument at all because it's not worth it for me. But it's just, from my experience, if anyone has any trouble with any solderless system, it's generally down to them not being made correctly in the first place.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe like the amount of customers, like since I've started this company, there's probably over 20,000 odds like of my connectors out there on different boards and things like that. It's just, and I've got people that use them, session guys, you know, touring guys, loads of people that use them that have nothing but good things to say about them, you know? So it's always, yeah, you're never going to win, you know, convincing people if they've been told, as you said, it's like the snake oil thing, or they've been told by, you know, the sort of common belief that this guy's told me, this guy's down the pub that, oh, solderless is rubbish because, you know, it's not blah, blah, blah. It's like, well.
No, I'm with you. I think, I mean, I've dragged mine, like I've still got the same kit, cables and stuff that I dragged to NAMM in 2020. Like dragged those across the Atlantic and, you know, kicked them about. I've redone my board like 10 times or whatever since then. And they're still going strong. So that was just, I think you said it's just also people just having the patience and obviously it requires a certain amount of dexterity to get it, you know, like you would with anything.
Oh yeah,
because you're doing it yourself. So
yeah, sure.
You can't just like shove them in blindly and just expect it to work. You have to actually pay attention to what you're doing. But the same if you were building a pedal kit or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
Can't just like there is a certain amount of responsibility on the person making them to like do a decent job as well. But but yeah, I mean, as far as doing something yourself goes, I mean, they're really not hard to put together. So I'm really happy with them. But I think that will probably be going about an hour. Yeah, nearly. I think that's we can probably wrap up. I mean, it's like I said, I apologies to anyone. Like, this is obviously going to be a little bit rough and ready because I've been thinking about doing this for about a year. Well, probably the best part of a year. And then I randomly messaged Phil like yesterday saying, should we just jump on and do it tomorrow? So it's all very, very last minute. I didn't know how I was going to record it until like half an hour before we started. So hopefully our recordings have gone well. If not, it'll be the backup on Zoom. So the quality might not be great. And again, I thought I'd keep it very formal. I didn't really know what I was going to talk about. So it's going to be a little bit up and down and a little bit maybe awkward for the first few episodes until I kind of get into a groove of what I'm going to be speaking to people about. So Phil's been very kindly kind of stepped up and been my guinea pig for this. Is there anything, Phil? I'll do the standard podcast thing. Is there anything that you want to plug, whether it's PedalPatch or anything else that you want to?
Yeah. So I may as well plug PedalPatch while I'm here. That's why I'm here, isn't it? So yeah, if www.pedalpatch.co.uk. That's where you can look at our range of products. I've got kits. I can show you one here. In fact, if you want, I've got one. So
Perfect.
I'm always prepared, mate. You know me. So I've got the patch cables. So that's kit. They come in 3 different sizes. I've also got like a single connector cable kit as well. Oh, it's not single connector, 2 connectors and a length of cable if you want to sort of try it out. And it's handy for one long cable. And I've got our brand new DC connectors as well, solderless DC for powering your cable, your pedals as well. But yeah, check us out on there. Instagram's at PedalPatch UK. We're on Facebook, so just check it out. Send me a message if you want anything in particular.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Phil.
And thanks for having me.
I haven't decided what I'm going to call this yet, but hopefully by the time this video is on YouTube, I'll have decided what I'm going to name this series. Like I said, I'm hesitant to call it a podcast, but
yeah,
I'll think.
Why don't you call it? Oh, I've got a good idea. But what about Meet the Maker?
Oh, yeah, I like it. That's good. That's cool. I like it. I'll have to make sure I'm not ripping off anyone else, but
copyright.
As a working title,
you probably will be.
As a working title, we'll go with that. All right, cool, nice. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll say see you next week, but it won't be next week. It will be at some point. There'll be another video where I'm doing a call with someone else. But thank you for watching. Bye.
Goodbye.
Knobheads.